Let's plant some tulips today. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me today here on Horticulture Geek. I am Ray, and if you are new to this channel, I live in central Arkansas in a small suburban lot in a residential neighborhood, and I have a garden. And today we are working on putting in our tulip bulbs. Now we do quite a few tulip bulbs here. And the other thing to point out is that tulips don't typically thrive for us here in Arkansas. Down here in the South, it's too hot for them, but it can be done. And so today it is the middle of December, which seems incredibly late for most of the country to be planting tulips, but it's the perfect time for us to be planting tulips. Now, I'm going to be using two different methods to plant today. I'm going to be using the pit method, and I'm going to be using an individual auger hole method. The first thing I'm going to do is the pit method, though. I've literally dug a pit, and it is going to be in one of my vegetable bed areas, because in addition to putting tulips in the front yard, I've got over 400 tulips that I've ordered from Color Blends. Those haven't even arrived to me yet, which shows you that it's not quite, we're just right now hitting the time. They should be here next week, but I've been picking up other tulips. And so I have 40 of this, which is the Triumph tulip. And I got these for $2.50 a bag. And I have 2 bags of this, which is the Royal Prince. And so what we're going to be doing today is, you heard me say that I'd be planting these in a vegetable bed area. That's because we're doing a cut flower garden with our tulips. The good thing about tulips is that since they're one of the first spring bloomers, you can allocate space in your vegetable areas for these, and you can cut them as they bloom, bring them into the house, use them in the home, enjoy them in the garden if you want to enjoy them in the garden, and then they're done and out of the way for your spring planting. So these should not get in the way at all for spring planting. So it's a really fun thing to do. So we're going to be using the pit method today for these, since this is for the cut flower garden area of our tulips. So literally all I've done is dug a big trench, and we're going to start planting bulbs. So let's come over here, and the lighting is really bad right now, sorry, but it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and I'm working on projects, and I wanted you to come with me. So let's get over here and let's see what is going on with this pit. Okay, so as you can see right here, I've just got a little vegetable area cut out of my perennial border, and so this really kind of is the stop of the current perennial border, and I've traditionally had veggies growing here, and then this is kind of the start of the shade border that has been in development. So but that may be changing, but that's for another video. But for today, you can see I've already pre-dug our pit. So I literally just used my shovel and broke up the soil and dug a big pit. So the next thing that I need to do is put in our fertilizer. So I am going to be using this Dutch bulb food from High Yield. And I'm just going to sprinkle this in the bottom of the hole and then get down there and work it into the soil and start arranging our bulbs. And then once we have our bulbs arranged, then we just backfill the hole. So I'm gonna set the camera up for this process and just kind of let you guys come along for that. We'll put it on high speed. That way you don't have to set through a whole bunch of me planting a bunch of bulbs. But I want you to get the point that this is kind of fun and easy way to do this method. It does require some physical labor to dig a big pit, but when you're doing a mass planting of bulbs, this is probably the best way to do it, because you can just dig your big pit, dig your big trench, lay them out and bury them, as opposed to having to individually dig or auger out hundreds of holes. So I'm gonna set the camera up and we're gonna get going. And before I do that, don't remember that a bulb has a top and a bottom. You've got the root end and the growing end, and I will point that out in the camera in just a second, but there is a definite orientation. You wanna make sure your bulb's set up right. Okay, so what you just saw me do was I opened up all the bags and I just kind of poured them in. And this is just kind of the natural drop method. And so now what I have to do is, now that I've got them dispersed, so I've got the varieties mixed up. And if you're mixing your own varieties, this is a great way to do it. Just drop them in there, let them scatter themselves. And now I'm just gonna go in and space them out and point them upright. So I'm going to make sure that my root end is down, my pointy end is up, and I'm just going to space them out in the hole. All right, I'm gonna work on that, and then I'll show you that before I fill it up. All right, here it is. So I've got them all spaced out into the hole, pointed in the correct direction with the pointy end up and the root end down. So now all that's left is to fill in the trench, and these are planted. Is the pit method there. It is, like I said, labor intensive, but it is fast. I mean, it's as fast as you can dig a pit and plop some bulbs in the ground, and then it's done. Now, the next method, and I've moved into my workshop area here in the garage just for a little bit better lighting. The other method that you can do to plant bulbs is the individual hole method. And they make special bulb shovels or bulb planters that you can go out and buy. A lot of times they look like a cylindrical little spade or shovel. Sometimes they're on a stick that you can use your foot to get in there with it. You can also just use a regular garden trowel, individually cut a hole. All of that takes time. So my preferred method, and if you have the means and resources to obtain it, is to get a bulb auger. Okay, so this is just an auger that attaches to a drill. So you will need an electric drill, but these are pretty inexpensive, and they come in handy for lots of things around the garden. Anytime you want to build a project or put together a wooden pot or a trellis or something, you know, invest in a good screwdriver, electric driver. But this bulb planter is an invaluable tool. And so it just literally connects on there. And now you can drill each hole out. It's a time saver. So I've got some Queen of the Night tulips and a few other varieties that we're just gonna pop around the perennial border here in the back garden. So now that I've got my auger attached to my gun, let's move out of the workshop, let's go out here to the garden, and let's do a quick look at planting bulbs using this method. So let's go. All right, so now we are ready to do our auger planting portion of this today. And a little bit of time has passed, so we've got some better lighting right now, and I've got a camera helper right now, so this is good. So we are going to be planting our Queen of the Nights. These are a deep, deep purple. They look almost black in real life, and they are just stunning. I love them. And I'm going to put them right here up next to this decorative landscape stone. So I've got my fertilizer and I've got my auger. This could not be more simple. We're just going to start auging these holes. I've got 10 holes to drill. We'll pop in the fertilizer and plant our bulbs. So here we go. And the good news about an auger that's a little bit of a wider auger is you can get 2 bulbs per hole. So you can notice I'm doing that here. So that's it, guys. It couldn't be any more simple than that. If you don't have a bulb auger, go get one. Again, that is my favorite method for doing individual plantings, and then the trench or pit method for mass plantings. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully maybe it has shown you something or inspired you. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. But until next time, guys, from my garden to yours, I wish you all the best and happy gardening.